All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel again. This is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews, and for the new year I decided to say to hell with it. Even though new comics come out tomorrow, and I will be reviewing them as soon as I get them and read them, I'm going back to doing comic reviews as soon as I possibly can, and I'm going to start with the books that came out this last day after Christmas, December 26th. And we're also going to do it a little bit differently because I usually cover all my Marvel books first and then hit DC and other independents. And since I usually just get more independent or more Marvel than anything, I'm going to do the independents and DC comics first, just to change things up, shake things up a little bit. And also, I will be doing a full review of the Drowned Earth story that takes place in Aquaman and Justice League. I've just been waiting to get all the books together and get that all done and review it, because I do feel, and I'll be doing like the new, to include with that, the new Aquaman #1 that takes place after Drowned Earth, just in case anybody's interested. So without further ado, we are back to do comic reviews, and I'm really happy that I'm finally able to do these. And just another development, by the end of this month, I will be hopefully being able to change the way a lot of these videos at least look. We're going to start working on making better videos by the end of this month. So hopefully there will be a big change in how things look, and not just me in front of the taking pictures off my making videos off my phone. So anyway, let's start off today though with Robert Kirkman's Die, 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 #6. Many different variations to these covers. I don't really know how well this book sells. But to talk about this, I wanted to bring up something that I'll be doing a couple of times in this, and that's talking about how I kind of talked about them, these books, in my best of 2018. And I was saying that how Die, Die, Die seems like a definite like TV show, and that they probably wouldn't do it until like, they get like 25, 50 issues done. But as I'm reading this, I'm not sure it's going to even last 50 issues. And kind of the way the story is structured, I'm not sure how long this story is supposed to last. So this could, if this doesn't last really long, I could definitely see this being like maybe a couple of movies, or maybe a trilogy of movies, or maybe just one big movie where they cut out a bunch of stuff. But I do think that this still is destined to become something other than just a comic book. But in this, we get to see the background of the kids. We also learn that they were all named after the Beatles. But it's some pretty dark stuff, because these are really dark children. Their dad taught them how to be killers, and they took to it, and they enjoy it. So in some respect, if this is ever made into anything else, it's going to be hard to watch children murdering people. And in some respects, like if this was never a comic, and I just saw a movie where some punk kids just become murderers, I don't know. I don't know. But it definitely gives some greater insight into these kids and how they don't really even care about each other. They're very cutthroat with even each other. We also get a lot more detail into the two kind of masterminds behind these programs, and more into their life. We get a couple of deaths in here from a couple of characters, but with no body, no crime. But this is a pretty interesting issue, just as far as long as getting to the psychology of how these kids, these murder kids, become murder kids. And so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good book, but it's still getting darker. And it's already pretty dark. But it's also still amazing action-wise. All right, so now we're going to talk about Batman #61. Now we're starting, like, we're in the same arc. We're in the same, 100 issues that Tom King's doing. So we've still got Bane in the background of this, but this is dealing with now, like in Detective Comics, we're dealing with the return, somebody trying to make these murders look like Thomas and Martha Wayne are back. But in this, we get a kid who thinks he's Bruce Wayne, a young Bruce Wayne. And that's all I'm really going to say about this. because it's pretty freaking weird. Because we're doing a lot of like interesting flashbacks that at first I didn't know who they were talking about in this. If it seemed like they were talking about Bruce, and I think we were meant to be a little confused. But it's really this kid who thinks he's Bruce Wayne, who thinks he's had this life, and how they end up locking this kid into Arkham because they don't know how to deal with him. It's pretty crazy, and I think that between Batman and Detective Comics' stories going on right now, it's a pretty interesting time to be reading Batman. And I know I didn't really talk about those that much, but I got a lot of books, and we only have a certain amount of time. So another thing, we're at Amazing Spider-Man number 12. I can't believe we're already 12 issues into Nick Spencer's run. And I also have to make a correction because I was saying that Ryan Ottley was gone from this book. And I read this already. I read it, and then I looked at the cover, and I saw Ryan Ottley's name on it. And I look inside, and he's back. So I guess the 3 issues he was not on this book, he's back now. I don't know if he was taking a break or what, but he's back with a vengeance. Love this cover. And we're getting more insight into the whole Peter, J. Jonah Jameson relationship and how they're dealing with things. And it's really throwing the way J. Jonah Jameson has been to Peter / Spider-Man all these years. And somebody's definitely trying to drive a wedge between this new friendship. And I don't think it's the Kingpin. It's pretty cool. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. Oh, and let's talk about this. Okay, so they're putting the Stan Lee things in here. And there's this guy that I used to be subscribed to on YouTube. And he said that this is low rent. This low rent goodbye to Stan Lee that Marvel's doing. I unsubscribed to this person because he's a real piece of shit, in my opinion. And I was putting up with him because he sometimes had some interesting views on comics, but mostly he just likes to scream social justice warriors, do are wrong, do this and do that, and do this and do that. And while I have my own problems with social justice warriors, this guy, he's just another one of those people that just likes to, that's what his new niche is to talk about social justice warriors and bitch and moan. But when you open up the books, they have, and all these books have the thing on the front for Stan Lee. Black cover, whole black page, then you open it up the second page, and the other one's page is black, and then you got this little thing in there. It's a nice pencil drawing of Stan Lee. Then you got your book, and then at the very back, and the backs are all black, and then at the very back they all have a classic thing from Stan's soapbox, a staple from Marvel Comics for a really long time. And it's this nice little thing that's written in Stan's words, something that Stan wrote a long time ago. And this Joker at his channel says it's low rent. And it's like, what do you think Stan would want? Do you think Stan would want all this hoopla? He's had enough hoopla. His whole life has been hoopla, and in the last decade, he's seen his creations come to life on screen, and had cameos in all of them. And I just feel like it's a respect. This is what Stan would want: just a little blurb, and a little just a little showing. And it's in every issue. You can't escape it. So saying it's this little thing, it's not a little thing. It's a huge thing. And I'm sure there's going to be more, but that's just what they're doing right now. And I think that's what Stan would have wanted. He would have wanted us to just keep reading, not make a big fuss over his death. So to this guy who probably will never watch these videos, man, get over yourself, man. Why do you got to just shit on everything? Anyway. He also likes to talk about what's this? What is this? And it's the words. This is the important part. This is the less important part. I buy comics so I can see Captain America written real big letters every issue. Anyway, Captain America number 6. Love this cover. Love this cover. And inside, poor Steve. Just when he's starting to get his popularity back and trying to win over everybody to prove that he wasn't the one who was doing everything in Secret Empire, he's under a new scrutiny. Now people are trying to frame him for the murder Thaddeus Ross, who I don't really give a shit about anyway. But somebody's really going to a lot of effort to make sure that Steve does not get back on top. And it sucks, but it's just, you know, that's that's comic books, right? No, but it's a really good book, and I know I didn't talk that much about it, but I got a lot to get through, and since I ranted about that idiot complaining about Stan Lee, we just gotta get moving. Dead Man Logan #2. Okay, so I liked the first issue, okay? This one is much better, because we're dealing with these people that are trying to get Mysterio to redo what caused the events of Old Man Logan. And Mysterio really doesn't want anything to do with this. If you're familiar with recent developments with Mysterio, he really doesn't even really like being a bad guy anymore. He just kind of wants to live his life without having to do anything. But he's been thrust into this by Miss Sinister and Red Skull's daughter, and they're fighting amongst each other on how to go about defeating all the heroes with what they saw in Logan's head about how all the heroes were killed by the villains. And I just think that, and with Logan back with Hawkeye and them trying to figure things out, it's just been a blast to read, and it's a nice little send-off. He also finds out about the world that Forge created, or the bridge that Forge created to get back to the Wasteland. And of course, Logan says not yet. Gotta do some more stuff. But so far, yeah, the book's turning out to be pretty good. At least second issue is much better than the first, and not that the first was bad, just kind of underwhelming for a first issue. All right, now this is the 5th book. We had the Defenders Best Defense series. It's just this little series. Each character had one shot. Immortal Hulk, Silver Surfer, Namor, and Doctor Strange each had an issue to tell their part of this story. And in this, it tells all the characters come together in this plan to stop this thing that's planning on destroying the Earth. Without saying too much, it all kind of comes together really well, but it kind of leaves me wondering, why did they do this? I love Doctor Strange's arc in this, and how he kind of had all this plan all together, and how he was going to use Hulk, Silver Surfer, and Namor. He was kind of the architect of this whole storyline, but I don't know if they're planning on bringing this group of the Defenders back in some way, but if not, it really kind of feels a little pointless, except, just a 5-issue little mini story of how these 4 original Defenders saved the world again without us really knowing. So I don't know. If it has bigger repercussions, then maybe that book will have a bigger impact. But as of right now, I kind of feel like I wish I could have just skipped it. Okay, so Domino #9. So Domino #9. Well, Domino just as a book has been pretty good. I like the character, and that's because she's in Deadpool 2 and all this stuff. But just I don't have that much to say, except the storyline has to do with Longshot. So Longshot's got luck powers, Domino's got luck powers, and somebody wants Domino to kill Longshot, and that's going to be this little story's arc. And I love Longshot. He's kind of an acquired taste. But with him, you get the Mojo-verse and everything else. And so if you're interested, if you like Longshot, you like stories about the Mojo-verse and stuff like that, I think you'll like this arc of Domino. All right. So I finally get to the end of Exterminated. The timeline's really weird because this book came out, okay? Exterminated came out before the X-Men, The Exterminated. and we might as well talk about both of them. So this is Cable's funeral. I know this is a Fantastic Four villains cover variant, but and this is basically Hope Summers coming to terms with Cable's death. Our Cable, the core Cable, the Cable that we've known for a really long time, that died in extermination by his younger self. Which, Jesus Christ, the timelines. I don't know how this was even possible, but look, they did it, and that's what we gotta accept, I guess. But in this, it's nice to see Hope Summers come to terms with the death of Cable. It also is nice to see Deadpool back in this, and being able to explain his relationship with Cable and how they weren't just, Hope blames Deadpool for kind of bringing out the worst in his father, and how Deadpool and him really did have a bond that gets explained a little bit better in this than just bromance stuff. Not too bad, but I'm really disappointed that we had to lose our Cable. I was really getting reinvested in that character, and then they just kind of take him away. But who knows if we'll ever see that version again. There's always different versions of Cable running around. But to talk about Exterminated number 5, this is the last X-Men Blue book, basically. The original team making their way back to their original timeline. This was eventually going to happen. And it's an interesting way to handle it. And there is a surprise ending to this. I mean, it's not that big a surprise to me because when you get the new Coming Soon books, it tells you like somebody that's alive again that shouldn't be, and it's Scott Summers, the original Cyclops. Our present time Cyclops is going to be back, and we find out that he's been working for the young version of his son in this. Another character. Oh, and in the last issue, we thought the young Scott Summers got killed, but it was really Mimic because comic books. In the end, we lost Bloodstorm. We lost this guy named Mimic, and there's a third person that died, and it's Cable. And they all basically, they kill Mimic, who's nobody. Bloodstorm, they just got rid of to clean up the X books. And Cable, well, there's always Cables running around. So Extermination was a little bit underwhelming, but it was cool to see Ahab back. I haven't seen him since Days of Future Present, way back in the late 80s, early 90s. All right, speaking of ending things, we have Infinity Wars number 6. Brings this story to a close, which I do like, because they did figure out what to do with all those Infinity Warps characters, and that's open up their own universe, give them their own world. And we also find out who's going to be the another tie-in, Infinity Wars Fallen Guardian. Wow, spoiler alert, it's the guy on the cover that dies. But doesn't really die. He goes into a different, I'm getting tired of these not deaths. But that's comic books. If you can't deal with it, get out. But anyway, basically, and again, this gets tied together a little too neatly, but it is nice that they figured out what to do with the Infinity Warps. And which means we could have new books with those characters, because I really did like Dr. Stephen Strange, Captain America mixed mashup. And, like Mini Hulk, Hulk and Ant-Man mashup and all this stuff. But Drax and his original, who he was originally, the saxophone player guy, I can't remember his name because it's a very uninteresting story. But he was killed by Thanos and brought back as Drax, which ties into this, and we would get to see like what happened to them after the fact. Gamora ends up kind of getting punished, but not really. It's a little anticlimactic. And for a guy that's been trying to talk about Infinity Wars, it's a little disappointing. But let's get back to something that isn't disappointing, and that is the final issue of Old Man Hawkeye, number 12. Fitting end to this prequel to Old Man Logan, where we get to see what happens, and it does not disappoint. Bullseye gets taken out in awesome fashion. It's like, sometimes you ever see a finale of a show and you go, how are they going to wrap this up? That's how I felt reading this. I was like, how are they going to wrap this up? I don't know how many pages. I don't think there's that many pages left. And they figured out a way to do it. And even though you know what happens to him later in Old Man Logan, if you've read it, it's interesting to see this finally play out. It was one of the best books of this year. And I'm actually really sad that it's over. But it might not be. They do hint that there could be future stories for Old Man Hawkeye. And we do have Old Man Quill, Old Man Star-Lord books to come up with. But, Old Man Hawkeye, I'm going to miss picking you up once a month. Another book, The Punisher, number 5. Okay, so Punisher is getting ready to square off against Zemo in this. But then we find out, it's Nick Fury. Let Zemo go. Let's Punisher get caught by Zemo. And all the other heroes basically, like Hawkeye and them, standing up for him and just proving once again that Punisher's on his own, even though he takes out a lot of dudes in great fashion in this book. And the guy that's like supposed to be the guy with the Mandarin's rings, Punisher just takes this fucking guy down, and it is great. And it's just another great standout book. This is not, I couldn't even read this, and I don't know why I bought it. I don't know why, man. I don't know why. Season's Beatings, #1. It's another one of those stupid little throwaway books for children. It basically, I have no, I liked the cover all right. I can't review it because I can't read it. I tried and it's not good. It's not good. And I should be ashamed of myself. Okay, so Thor #8. This is another Fantastic Four villains variant, but and this Thor is another book that I should have put it on my best of the year, but it's the art drags down this story still. The art in this book is different, but I believe we're going back to the other guy, and until we get, like, I like the writing team in this, but Thor, you got to get some better art, man. You got to get some better art. But we're talking about things like being worthy, and I think we're going to be seeing Mjolnir pretty soon. Uncanny XMen #6. This is a great Apocalypse cover. And Uncanny X-Men #7. Disassembled, where we're getting to see X-Man revealing more of his plan to create this, what's going to end up being this utopia for all the X-Men characters. What I'd like to see them do is just get rid of the whole I hate Mutie storyline. I know that they probably never will, but I do think there's ways around it. But I love seeing Legion being a part of this, trying to fix things. One thing that this story does have that drags it down is these, younger ex-students still, like Glob and Armor, that just kind of just keep getting in the way. And I know that, I don't know, they're not the New Mutants. They just are always like bitching and moaning about things. And even though they sometimes have a point in this story about how, how are we supposed to learn if you never let us do nothing? The other parts of this have been pretty good, just trying to, like Archangel's back, but now he's pissed off because, he found inner peace. But I'm really just more like getting excited to see how they're going to work Scott Summers and Logan back into the mix of this, because that's going to be a pretty interesting thing that goes on. This I just brought up. Oh, this is Venom #9. It's the Into the Spider-Verse SpiderMan Noir cover. Eddie and his father. That's basically what this is about, like seeing like the background of Eddie Brock and how messed up his family members are. I'm speeding up because I'm almost out of time. Weapon H #11. I don't know why I'm getting this book still. I keep hoping it would get better, and it's just still kind of it's just stupid. Black Widow is one of the people all the time. But we're going to finish with something that I did like, and that's X-Force #1. This is the Rob Liefeld cover. I felt like it was necessary to get Liefeld. You might like Liefeld, but like it or not, he's the one who created X-Force and Cable and Shatterstar, and so. But this is a nice book because even the cover art is Liefeld, but the inside is the guy who drew Cosmic Ghost Rider. I liked Cosmic Ghost Rider's art just fine. I don't know how much it mixes with the X-Force style, but we'll see. I like it okay. But the story's great because they're gunning for Cable. They're gunning for young Cable because they want answers of why this guy killed their mentor, the guy that they worked with for so many years. And I really like how they're really there to help him, even though he doesn't see it that way. And that's typical Cable fashion. He'll just take it. The help is there. He'll take it any way he can get it. But the bigger story here is pretty interesting. And I do like the direction it's going into. It's definitely more thought out than like what X-Force originally felt. That was just a great art with like no, all style over substance. And this has substance over style. So I'm liking where this is starting, and hopefully it just gets better. So anyway, that was those comic books from that week, December 26th. Hopefully I'll be able to get the new books in the next day or so and get to the comics reviews up quicker and back on track, because I really like doing these. And anyway, If you liked this review of these comics, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. If you can get your hands on a cover of this, I do love this cover quite a bit. Try your local comic book shop. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying thanks for watching, thanks for all the support, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.